Hi there, it's time again for another Cigar Advisor Tasting Panel Review. I'm Gary Korb, and I'm the water boy for the United States cockfighting team at this year's Olympics. Today we're going to be smoking the new Upmann Yarguera Torbusto. This is a 5x56 combination between a Toro and a Robusto. And it's made with a blend of this new hybrid Yarguera tobacco. The core is a sun-grown Yarguera 13 with Criollo 98. The binder is Criollo 98, and the wrapper is a shade-grown Yarguera 13 wrapper. So it's all Honduran, it's all puro, and as we usually have, our panel today joining us. People think the world of him, and if you've seen what kind of shape the world is in right now, that should tell you a lot. Mr. John Pula.
That's nice.
Hey.
That's nice, thank you.
Someone once paid him a penny for his thoughts and later sued him for overcharging. It's the one and only Tommy Z-Man.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you.
That was really good.
Back in college, he used to take his dog to classes with him. He dropped out, but the dog graduated summa cum laude. This is Mr. Jonathan DeTore.
He was a smart pup.
I'm not going to boo you.
Anyway, before we get started,
See how
I want to
today
tell
is.
everybody about this Yarguera tobacco, where it comes from. This is from the press release that was sent out by Altadis. This is a naturally sweet tasting and aromatic leaf. It was named for the tobacco farm, which is located between these two mountains somewhere in beautiful downtown Honduras. And it's also named for the soil. The story begins in the 1960s when the Arias family was in Cuba looking for seeds to bring back to grow in Honduras. And they found this really fantastic seed. Now, they cultivated this tobacco for decades, and the problem with it is very, very hard to grow, and it's very, very delicate. So, to reinvigorate the seed, the agronomists from Altadis's Grupo de Maestros began a program to hybrid it with a hardier, more robust Criollo 98, which is also why there's some Criollo 98 in here. After years of careful effort, they created a tobacco that had the qualities of both tobaccos. So at the end of 2013, the new seed was planted at the Yarguera farm, and the result is the so-named, trademarked, Yarguera 13, and that's used exclusively in this Upmann cigar.
How does one get into agronomy?
Agronomist.
You got to go to agronomy school.
It's a big
By the
word.
way, I did
It's a
read
lot of big
somewhere
words.
that the Yarguera means the cattle are dying, but I don't know if that's true. I
I don't think
found
so.
that on some off
But
website.
For a nice, deep, dark color, it looks promising in terms of flavor. I'm only a little bit of the way in here on this Torbusto, which is kind of a neat shape. It's a combination of a torpedo Robusto, a fat torpedo, a kind of stocky size, but closer to a torpedo in length. So think of it more as a perfecto. And we put an angled full cut on it with a double guillotine, and that seems to be providing the best draw so far.
Yeah, I agree. Does everyone agree on the first few puffs were kind of peppery?
Very,
Did you
I'm
ever
still,
get that?
look, I'm an inch in, Gary. I got very still real peppery to me. Very,
Yeah,
like
I
I'm
think that's
feeling
fine.
it on the tongue and the palate, spicy.
I'm only down a little bit here, and it's already rounded out. So, and this particular tobacco is supposed to have kind of a naturally sweet element to it.
Just like you.
And I did review the Toro a couple months ago, and I found that to be kind of a sweet, spicy smoke. So this will be a good comparison.
Okay. As far as flavors, Jonathan, what are you getting in terms of some of the flavors? Pretty much we all agree on pepper up front, pepper and spice.
Yeah.
So what else are you sensing?
Right when we first lit up, I was talking to Tommy about the cigar before we started recording, and it's a really peppery cigar right up front, but I think within that half inch, it kind of goes away a little bit, and it really opens up to a lot of cedar flavors. I think it's very sweet, very cedary, and that pepper kind of recedes into the background and just kind of lingers there.
Well, the one thing that he said beforehand, he goes, I feel like I'm smoking a cigar box. And he didn't mean that as a negative, because there's very, very cedary, like that, like when you sniff the box and you can almost taste it on your palate.
Yeah.
So I can say I'm getting wood.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And you do want to
How long have you had that teed up?
I've been waiting weeks since our last one. but it is. I mean, it's very, very woody, very cedary.
The aroma is pretty spot on. You get a little bit more of that spicy note when you inhale the smoke a little bit, or you smell the cigar.
you do.
So you get a lot of that pepper, but you also get that matching cedar, which really rounds out the smoking experience.
So interesting though, cedar and pepper are like what's really predominant. We're finding. I don't know how you guys feel
Right.
about it.
Well, there's a couple things you typically come to expect from an Upmann cigar, right? You typically have very good construction. You have a smooth taste from using very good tobaccos and from effective aging and fermenting. Typically around medium body, and typically most of them have somewhat of a cedary taste, but they're all very reserved. None of them really go too far off the reservation. Even the H. Upmann Sun Grown, which I'm a really huge fan of, still maintains that core quality of Upmann reserve kind of. I don't know what the word is, reservity. So I'm making one up. But it's very conservative. But so where I think you're really going to benefit a lot from some of the flavors that are in here, which there's pepper right up front, a little bit of cedar in there, slight
definitely.
taste of leather. It's not insanely complex, but where this is really going to shine is if you start pairing it with something, and it's really going to give you a chance to experience a lot more of the flavors at a little more intense. At a little more intense a level. So I'm pairing with coffee this morning, and it's a little bit on the sweeter side, so that's bringing out some of the sweet elements that Gary had been talking about. So that's where Yarguera H. Upmann is really going to shine. If you decide to pair it with a heartier coffee, or maybe a Scotch or a whiskey,
I'll tell you what
that's more smooth.
I'll tell you what it's going to pair great
smoother
with.
one.
A red wine, and I know that because always. If you get like a cab or something, or even like something lighter like a Pinot Noir, the spiciness and the sweetness of the wine are kind of gotta go together nice. So
How
I
about a
like
port?
a good. I think a dessert port would be great with this. A
I
nice
think
Taylor or a.
I think one of the best things that this would pair well with is a nice dark spiced rum.
That's
I
interesting.
can see that.
That would be outstanding with the cigar. And Pulo had touched on something where H. Upmann is very going back to the cigar now. The H. Upmann is very reserved, kind of conservative in terms of what they blend and what they put out on the market. And that, once again, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to be a little conservative sometimes. And really, when you're being conservative, when you're a cigar blender, you're tapping into a bigger section of the market. You're tapping into the beginners. You're also tapping into the once a week, once every 2 weeks smoker, which is kind of intermediate. And you're also tapping into the veterans who like just smoking what they like to like. And this has a good flavor to it. And I can see a lot of veterans sitting down. Smoking veterans, that is, sitting down, enjoying rum or wine with the cigar and really enjoying it.
I also want to say this is a testament to what a lot of tobacco growers and cigar manufacturers are doing now. They do these hybrid tobaccos, and I think they did a really knockout job with this. One particular retailer thought that this was as close to a Cuban in flavor as you can get. I guess it does have some of those Cuban-like properties, like the little spice and sweetness, but I don't know if I would compare it to an actual Cuban. But yet it's definitely in the zone, so to speak. But I just think it's great what they've been doing with these tobaccos. And so if you want to try something really new and different, this is really the cigar, I think, to try at least one of them, because it does. It's just I just like the idea that they took the seed and they brought it and they couldn't grow it well, and then these guys come in from Grupo de Maestros and they work on it for years and years and they get it, and I don't know. I just kind of like the whole science behind it.
Agronomists.
The agronomists, yes. It's going to be a new series on TV, the agronomists.
Now, Nanny. Jonathan, you want to start wrapping us up here on some of the overall takeaways?
Yeah, really interesting size that we're smoking today, the Torpedo Robusto kind of style. I think that's actually pretty wild. It's really good though. Like we said before, spice up front, big cedar note, big sweetness to it. I'm still sticking with it pairs well with a good spiced rum, dark rum. But overall, I mean, it's burning okay. The draw is great. I think this is a definite win for H. Upmann.
Oh yeah.
I still got wood.
Back to that.
That's all I got. No, I got more than that. I'm telling you, I don't know why. I'm down a lot further, and I'm still getting peppery, but I'm also letting the smoke linger a little longer, which I like to do sometimes on the palate. Sometimes when I have a cigar that's not really complex, this is not a complex smoke. Like I said, not a bad thing, all right? We can't all smoke complex cigars. So sometimes I let it linger longer in the mouth, on the palate, and I'm still getting that pepper and wood, which is a very interesting combination. So if you like that kind of flavor profile, you're gonna love this. You got wood, John?
Actually, cedar to be most
Yeah.
specific. So a little bit of the pepper that you guys have been talking about, more cedar and wood notes that you were talking about, less on the sweet side of things, even though, you know, some of the tasting notes that I've seen from others have talked about this. Honduran cigars have typically been blended to be a little more potent, a little more spicy, and the flavors are a little thinner. This, as far as a Honduran cigar goes, doesn't quite hit the high marks in terms of strength as other Honduran cigars, but that's more the H. Upmann style. So if you like Honduran cigars but don't need a total spice bomb, or aren't looking for something that's going to be so incredibly diverse that you're having trouble trying to keep up with all the flavors, give Yarguera H. Upmann a try, because it's just diverse enough. It's smooth, it's mellow, it's medium-bodied at most, with just a right touch of spice. And like I said before, if you pair it with something, I think you'll get a lot more out of the flavors and probably amplify those up to really meet your expectations for the experience.
Well, I think that pretty much sums up what I think about it too. It's just a real good all-around smoke. It can be enjoyed by newer cigar smokers, experienced cigar smokers, and I just got to the chubby part here on this thing, and it's really opening up now.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot more flavor. So anyway, that's pretty much it for the Yarguera Torbusto, and that's it for our review today. Please make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and don't forget to order your cigars from Famous Smoke Shop. That's famoussmoke.com on the internet. So that's it for today. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
That was pretty good.
Agronomy.